We shall continue the discussions for the next panel. Our next moderator is Mr. Niraj Ruparel, Groupm India. We will have panelists joining Ms. Bhawna Sikka, Haleon, and Mr. Himanshu Goel from FUTR Studios.
Anywhere, all yours. Check. This works? This is on. Check, check. Works. Thank you so much. I mean, it's real good enthusiasm that I still get to see some faces. It's been a long day, last session, but love the fact that you guys are still here, some of you at least, joining us for this session, which is on emerging technologies, interventions in modern day marketing. And it's a perfect segue to start this session after that extensive metaverse conversation which we had in the previous session, right? And I'm not going to be talking more about metaverse per se, since it's already being spoken about in our last session. Predominantly what I'll focus on is, just to give you a quick context, in modern day marketing, we are seeing emerging technology levers being used on all possible device type, right? If you're talking about India at 1 billion active SIM cards right now, if it's a device which is priced at 200 rupees, there is voice AI as a technology intervention which goes in. Yeah, with record number of speech-led solutions which are getting designed now. Nuance, I'm sure everyone's aware, which supports speech in 16 languages, got acquired by Microsoft. You must have heard Satya Nadella talking about Bhashini as a service, which is NLT, where government is spending like millions of dollars on natural language transmission mission. All these solutions are basically built for the lower segment of audiences, which is for the bottom of the pyramid, right? So people who are having 200 to 500 or 1,000 rupee kind of a phone. That number stacks up at around 350 million in India. Right? So there are emerging tech interventions which are levers which are getting created for these 350 million audiences. And there are emerging tech interventions largely driven on AI, which is now getting created on the smartphone segment as well. Right? Everyone has heard about generative AI, synthetic media, and the clones of celebrities which are around the market, right? So pretty much I created, and we were just discussing, Bhawna, me and Himanshu, that how do you manage to convince your clients, right? And Bhawna is one of my favorite clients, and we did our first project on GSK Inoland, Haleon now, Inoland, and we'll talk a bit about it and how it's extended to a more ripe platform, which is AR. I mean, as we all know, AR has been around for a decade, maybe 2 decades, right? But the industry has gotten shape in the last 5 years. And there's like record number of work which is happening on augmented reality in all 3 categories of augmented reality, whether it's in-app AR, the purchases which are happening on e-com apps. You launch any e-com app, it'll give you an option to place the AC in real life, and then the ROI goes up because the consumers are able to see how it looks in your spaces, right? Or web AR solutions, where you pick up a pack, you scan a QR code, and you're being transported to some other destination. Have you guys heard about this Mondelez campaign on secret messaging, which was a hyper-personalized AR experience being created for lovers, where they can point the phone at the hoarding and their lover's name is going to appear, right? If the girl points at the hoarding, it will say, I love you, Sejal. No one's Sejal here, right? but yeah, that's the kind of messaging which was being built, and then we got one lucky guy, which is Piyush and Tejal, to go on a moon dating experience in the metaverse. So those are the kind of experiences which are getting stitched now on a ripe platform like AR, and then culminating into a metaverse kind of a destination. So bottom line, there is tons and tons of tech work which is happening in modern day marketing, which cuts across device type, cuts across audience type, markets. And the core thing which is driving today's conversation, which we personally want to drive, is on AI and synthetic AI, and how synthetic AI is now getting language models built onto it, right? So just to create some excitement, let me just play a quick AV for you guys. So I did my first clone good 2.5 years back, when the lead time to create a clone was good 10 hours of original content. So there's a teleprompter, and there's a script out there. You have to look into the teleprompter with a white background and keep reading the script. And that allows you to create your clone, and that then allows you to excite a lot of clients and leadership out there saying that, okay, this is my clone, this is not me, and you can use it for various purposes. It can be greetings, it can be anything else, right? So obviously English is being around for a while now. 2 days back, we released a report with Amazon Alexa. Groupm released a report with MMA and Amazon Alexa. If you guys followed that, the initial 7 minutes of decoding of the report was being done by my clone. He did a brilliant job out there. But what's now changing for us is the lead time to create a celebrity clone. And India, as we see, has close to about 35 plus clones of celebrity. 10 odd we have driven across our clients. But the lead time to create now has dropped to about 5 to 10 minutes, which used to be 10 hours now. So imagine if you want Shah Rukh Khan, and our most popular campaign is Shah Rukh Khan, not just a Cadbury ad. I'm sure everyone followed that. Got us global glory, Titanium Lions India for the first time. Now that campaign, the lead time, what we needed with the celeb was only 10 minutes. Shah Rukh Khan was required to face the cam, read a script for 10 minutes, done. And then we create renditions, give the power to the retailers. They can create their own Shah Rukh Khan ads and use Facebook Manager, WhatsApp, their first party database, and promote that and say that smallest of the retailer in Bihar can go ahead and say that, oh my God, this is an ad which is being created for my store by Shah Rukh Khan, and he promotes it, right? That's how it's so powerful. So now, with the addition of language models, how this entire space is going to go more powerful. And let's see the output which I have derived. This is a self-created clone of mine, 7th edition though. Let's just see this. Is it exciting? You waited for so long.
Go Niraj.
Watch this.
एआई मार्केटिंग और विज्ञापन की दुनिया में आपका स्वागत है, जहां तकनीक उद्योग के भविष्य को आकार दे रही है। हाल के वर्षों में एआई ने वेबसो के ग्राहकों तक पहुंचणे और उनके साथ जुळणे के तरीके में क्रांती लादी है। एआय विपणन आणि जाहिरातींच्या जगात आपले स्वागत आहे, जिथे तंत्रज्ञान उद्योगाचे भविष्य घडवत आहे। अलीकडच्या वर्षांत एआय व्यवसाय त्यांच्या ग्राहकांपर्यंत पोहोचण्याच्या आणि त्यांच्याशी संलग्न होण्याच्या पद्धतीत ക്രാന്തി സാങ്കേതികവിദ്യ വ്യവസായത്തിന്റെ ഭാവി രൂപപ്പെടുത്തുന്ന എഐ മാർക്കറ്റിംഗിന്റെയും പരസ്യത്തിന്റെയും ലോകത്തേക്ക് സ്വാഗതം. സമീപ വർഷങ്ങളിൽ ബിസിനസ്സുകൾ അവരുടെ ഉപഭോക്താക്കളുമായി എത്തിച്ചേരുകയും അവരുമായി ഇടപഴകുകയും ചെയ്യുന്ന വിധത്തിൽ এআই বিপ্লব সৃষ্টিച്ചു। এআই বিপণন এবং বিজ্ঞাপনের জগতে স্বাগতম, যেখানে প্রযুক্তি শিল্পের ভবিষ্যৎ গঠন করছে। সাম্প্রতিক বছরগুলিতে এআই ব্যবসাগুলি তাদের গ্রাহকদের কাছে পৌঁছানোর এবং তাদের সাথে জড়িত হওয়ার পদ্ধতিতে বিপ্লব করেছে।
How was it? So personally, I can speak English, Hindi, and Gujarati fluently. Punjabi I cannot speak, but yeah, we can get my clone to speak sooner. But now imagine how powerful it goes. Marketers like Bhawna and so many other my friends who have got real strong star power, right? People have got Ranveer Singh, Ranveer Kapoor, Mr. Bachchan, very, very popular in India. Now imagine if I were to shoot an ad with Mr. Bachchan in Hindi, and if I want to run it in Karnataka and Kannada, it's doable. And it's doable with this level of output, which I have derived right now, right? So imagine when we shoot with Bachchan, his acting skills for those 10 minutes are going to be much more powerful than mine. I'm not an actor. But if I could manage this output, the 10-minute of output which you get from the celebrity, that's decisive to create a clone, which is more closer to reality, right? So this, I think, I love this in terms of the output which is coming. And with more iterations, and today we are also going to talk about ethics in AI, which is what me and Himanshu were discussing, that when more and more clones are going to get created in such rapid time, 5 minutes, clone gets created, can also speak Indic, can go to micro markets in India, how life would change. And there's where the regulations would come into picture. So once when we cracked it, we spent about 6 months on clearing all the legal hurdles between multiple companies, including the PR teams of celebrity, to cross that hurdle, and then we launched our first campaign so that the content which is getting created is only to be used for that particular specific campaign only and not to be used randomly elsewhere, right? So that's one area which I'm pretty bullish about. Now here, there are 2 new levers which are picking up. And I'm not going to be talking about metaverse because there's too much conversation on metaverse which has already happened. And by the way, personally, I have done about 12 odd virtual world experiences last year with the likes of Coca-Cola, ITC, Perfetti, Volvo, Eno, and so many brands, right? And I believe that this particular space is as nascent as internet was in 2003, but it's here to stay. This is not a tech fad by any means. It's here to stay and it's here to grow northwards is what I personally feel. With all our conversations with the global folks and how big tech companies are thinking around it, with all the 5G revolution which is going to kick into India, which is going to solve the problem of speed. So all the tech stack, including metaverse, which is lying in R&D labs of companies like us, are going to get life because of 5G, right? It's directly proportional to speed. Speed aa gayi, to log video nahi dekhne wale. Video, you're already watching it. You can watch video at 5 Mbps also. Why do you need say 100 Mbps to watch a video. Then you will move into immersive destinations. You will move into live cricket matches, soccer matches, play those over. Bumrah bowls an amazing 1 over. You can go there, put a VR device, and you can play that over, right? Another thing which is interesting and which is shaping up in this space is this entire advent of meta-humans and digital humans. Anyone knows about, you've heard about it? Meta-humans and digital human. There is already a digital human powered by WHO and one of our global partners. They call it Florence. She is representing a pharma kind of a sector where she gives you a lot of information about tobacco and why you should not be having that. And she speaks in Hindi seamlessly. She's on WHO's side and she can speak Hindi as well, right? So they are digital humans. And how many of you are aware about Kyra, India's most popular digital influencer? Like show of hands? Decent number, you're doing a great job. You're going to meet the creator of Kyra and have a chat with him, that how he sees Kyra going northwards and what is the kind of story which Kyra is trying to create in Indian market and how brands can seamlessly weave in that storytelling into her life, right? So Himanshu would talk more about that. And I would love Bhawna to talk more about the AR aspect, which is more and more ripe. And we are almost on the verge of creating something which is going to be very unique to the Indian market around volumetrics, which allows you to do a hologram pops on a QR code. So imagine a beverage bottle, and if you scan on it, the celebrity comes alive and you can have a chat with them. That accurate, that real. If you guys have heard about this company called Niantics, they're leaders when it comes to web AR. They acquired this company called Eighth Wall. They're going to be launching VPS very soon, Virtual Positioning System, which makes AR more lifelike. A lot of you are looking zoned out. कि क्या है, किसके नाम है? But yeah, the bottom line is in the 5G world, these kind of companies are going to be coming in and brands are going to weave in solutions with them where AR is going to become more lifelike and closer to us, right? And you would not feel this is a fake thing moving around here and there. But with VPS, you would actually be able to render something. So for example, Valentine's Day, Taj Mahal ke bahar, you are coming and clicking a selfie virtually. And if you want Taj Mahal to turn chocolatey, obviously using VPS you can, because you measure the exact millimeter of that space. And we piloted that at one of our events as well. So let me now take you to a quick video synopsis on how meta-humans and digital humans of future are going to be like. And I have personally created my own meta-humans. So meta-humans are created from your own scans. You can use a mocap, like sir sitting here, I can take a video of you, 360 video, load it up on Unreal Engine. It creates a render of you. Not that accurate, ये मैंने खुद ही किया है, but if you were to get into a dome camera and get a nice shot done, then the accuracy levels are very high, right? So let's watch this video of how the meta-humans of the future, meta-humans and digital humans of the future would be like.
AI marketing.
I'm done with this. Okay.
I am a meta-human, the next generation of digital human powered by Unreal Engine. Meta-humans are high-fidelity digital characters created by you, the user, on our new content creation platform, MetaHuman Creator.
I am fully rigged, ready for animation and motion capture, allowing you to work in context. With everything running live in Unreal Engine, my motion works seamlessly.
On other characters. I have 8 levels of detail and have been tested on a wide range of hardware platforms, from feature film to mobile. If you're interested in learning about my animation rig or high-fidelity deformations,
built on control rig, the new strand-based hair system via the Groupm component, or how everything is tied together and animated in sequencer,
then have a look under the hood in this project. This is just a glimpse of things to come.
As I keep saying, this is not a fad by any means. These are tech tools and platforms which will form the basis of our industry for years to come. Every industry disrupted by the digital era is expected to feel the impact of the metaverse.
That's my render. It's not that accurate. And I've used some blonde as well to get it more sharper. But yeah, that's my render. And this is again, like maybe 4th or 5th attempt. So if I get a proper scan done, it can go to the next level, right? So, okay. How is this as a context to our session? Are you guys excited? Yes. Okay, super. So we'll start with Bhawna first. How did you like it? I mean, I would love to ask you first because even you are seeing this for the first time.
Niraj, you're one of my
favorite people, so you know what my answer is, which is why I think you asked me first. Now, of course, this is fascinating. I hope the mic is working. No, it's fascinating. It's fascinating not just because I know it's your work and a lot of effort that has gone in from you, but it's also fascinating for me as a marketer on as mass brands as Eno and Sensodyne now, because the enormous potential that it gives us. I mean, you spoke about the languages and the clones that you showed. For those of us who've ever worked with advertising or have had work which has flirted with advertising, know just how difficult it is to make that one TVC and then to do it in languages. And then when you're paying a celeb to do a TVC, it's almost impossible to shoot those many times over in different languages. So if it does get enabled to this extent, just the effectiveness that comes in from a marketing purpose, and also the engagement that comes from a consumer purpose. We all respond better when we think the person is speaking our language. So if we can do that, in all the content that we create, it's just phenomenal power to have on any brand.
Yeah. A quick heads up for our audience, since I spoke about Enoland, if you could give them a heads up of what we created with Enoland and how brand can now seamlessly extend this experience to AR, which is more ripe, as we said, like very, very closer to us. Anyone can access it. You don't need fancy apps to move into an AR experience.
I mean, as opposed to a lot of people here, I am not the most tech out person. I'm a marketer first whose occupation sort of requires that I understand whatever's going on. So last year, I mean, I was heading Eno up until last year, and Eno was completing 50 years in this market, so we wanted to celebrate the 50-year legacy of what is an iconic brand, and we wanted to do it slightly differently. Eno, again, is slightly unique within the healthcare space because it's a brand that has fun. Most of you would have at least some point seen an Eno ad, and they're cheeky ads, you know, they finish with a burp, like how sort of irreverent can you get? So what we did with the WPP team's help last year was celebrate Eno's 50 years by hosting the first stand-up show in India in the metaverse. So we created Enoland. We had top 7 comedy influencers, starting from Zakir Khan to Ayush Shraddha to Rahul Dua, who were all there creating content which was in the spirit of love for food, which also then spoke about Eno, which was all done in metaverse. And I think the good thing about that was, had we done it as an activation, which usually brands do, it would have been either 1 city, 2 city, maximum 6 city thing. What AR enables is a much wider outreach. We could take the same content to a lot of different people at the same time. And I think another thing which is more and more pertinent for all of us is from an environment and sustainability point of view. When you do big events, they do come with a certain carbon footprint, right? When you're able to do it this way, there are things which are not just sustainable from a finance point of view, but are also sustainable from an environment point of view. So just the sheer power that is coming in with platforms like that. So that was something we attempted to do last year.
Yeah, so what she meant was carbon footprint versus a physical event then on a metaverse, because metaverse is right up there when it comes to carbon footprint, like really worst up there. But if you were to compare it with a physical event,
with people traveling, with people coming, with everything else that would be, so relatively, no, it certainly did not have like a zero emission.
Massive in that sense. Now, when we did the Enoverse, the platform, just a little technical, but the platform was Unreal 4.26 on which this was being done. It's now upgraded to 5, which is what the render and the output which you just saw. And Kyra here is, Himanshu has created Kyra. So let's hear a bit about the creation, the story behind Kyra. Why would he create a character like this, which has now got about 200,000 followers on the platform? Would love to hear from you.
Right. So I was heading an influencer marketing agency called Top Social India. And I was managing 100, 200 influencers with 10 plus brands. And there was a need, because every month there was a new influencer agency coming up. And everyone was just eating up each other's commission. So we really wanted to do something innovative. And that's when we discovered the concept of a virtual influencer. That time, metaverse wasn't such a huge concept as it is right now. And there was a virtual influencer in the US called Lil Miquela. And we thought this Lil Miquela has 3 million followers. So if we create something like this with the population that India has and the social media users that India has, we could have 10 million followers. The potential for a character like this is huge in India. And that's when we created and launched Kyra in 2022 in January. And we did not know how the market would respond, how the consumers would respond. Thankfully, the interest was amazing. Everyone started following Kyra. Her videos started getting millions of views. Brands started getting interested in her. And the key change was from previous animated characters. Kyra was photorealistic. So if you go on Instagram, you look at Kyra's photos, almost 50% of people are not able to tell if she's a real person or if she's a created character. And the level of fidelity that an engine like Unreal Engine or the latest CGI software provides us is a photorealism, and it will keep getting better. So you will not be able to tell if this person is real or virtual. And currently Kyra is the most popular virtual influencer, not just in India, but in some parts of the globe as well.
Perfect. So after this, you must definitely go out and check out Kyra, because the kind of hard work which has gone towards building it, and the future, as we say, once you load up partnerships or what you call digital humans, like what Soul Machine produces, which is Florence, and with the 5G which is going to kick in, right? Because these kind of digital humans, they will actually thrive in the 5G era in a big way, because they have got this emotional connect with the audience as well. So they can look into your eyes from the front camera and they can sense your emotions, right? So typically, a automation AI, as you call it, this call center executive, can clearly get replaced by these digital humans. And they are again going to be our mascots, right? So when he has got Kyra, he can plan for Kyra for say 100 years, or Kyra's entire family. He can create a family ecosystem for Kyra as well. He's not dependent on a celebrity to do that. And then he can seamlessly create stories in Kyra's life where brand can retrofit itself, right? So that makes this entire scenario more stickier in that sense. So as Kyra becomes more emotive, which is the ability for Kyra to go two-way now and express herself, that is going to be a game changer in a big way, right?
Absolutely, and I think it's the perfect storm that's happening. 5G is picking up, AI is picking up, 3D technology has come to this level. So all of these technologies are combining at the same time. Just like when Geo happened and OTT happened, there was a perfect storm. This is the perfect storm that's happening in the field of meta-humans or virtual reality or AR reality, that these things are all picking up at the same time. And they are going to combine into something which we have dreamed of as children, that in the future we are going to be living in virtual worlds, we are going to be talking to virtual human beings. And this is actually happening right now. It's a reality right now.
Yeah, as we speak in our R&D lab, we are actually clubbing these ChatGPT Intel with digital humans. So when you talk to a digital human, it's the content which is talking back at you. So imagine if you create a moderating layer, plug in Intel from the AI platforms or advanced AI tools, that goes as a content to these digital humans for seamless conversation. You don't have to actually stop and create content and populate it back onto these platforms. Similarly, on AR, we are clubbing it with text input. You can actually create AR renditions by giving in text-based commands, right? So there's loads happening in this space of how, like Himanshu rightly said, that everything is coming in place with 5G pipe and AI at its peak right now in terms of delivering value for marketers, and these all assets and the entire ecosystem which is building up. So clearly, metaverse remains nascent, but the infrastructure that surrounds metaverse is growing northwards, right? And you see any platform today, any large platforms, and you will find they have a metaverse strategy in place. Sony has Eternals. There's a concert which is lined up on Sony's platform. Sony PlayStation, I don't need to say, but the lowest hanging, there are tens and millions of people who are already there in metaverse platforms like Roblox. Our kids are pretty much living on it, right? So infrastructure supporting this is constantly growing, whether it's Netflix, Amazon Prime Videos. Everyone is trying to build an ecosystem for an audience out there, and everyone is prepping for the 5G era. Look at telecom. Every telecom would have their XR strategy, because when they give 5G bandwidth to customers, what will they come and do with that? You'll have to also give them fancy destinations to play with. Maybe the modern day telecom call center people would be digital humans, right? So all that's a transformation which we are seeing. Now coming back, Bhawna, you are now managing Sensodyne. And I would say AR and healthcare and pharma, there are some tons of use cases which are evolving. My best one is, there was this very interesting AR use case which was being developed in the COVID phase. That those oxygen, what do you call? The oxygen cylinders which used to come, somebody had to plug in that, but there was no one available. The world was isolated. So even if you're buying an oxygen cylinder and if there's an emergency, how do you plug in all that? So that's when they launched an AR tutorial, an instruction, where you scan on a QR code and it tells you कि ये pipe यहाँ लगाना है, blah blah, and it helps you assemble it. It's so powerful, right? A very simple deployment, but extremely powerful in an era where everything was isolated. Now we buy something and we expect the person to come and install it for us. But in the COVID era, everyone was isolated. So the best way to do it, and this AR use case really amazes me in terms of how the usage also went up, right? So pharmacy, AR, I see strong relevance. How do you see that using it for brands like Sensodyne?
So again, Sensodyne, for those of you who know, and I would imagine a lot of people would have at some point again seen the brand, there is a lot of work that goes behind each and every one of the toothpastes that we make. Dentistry in and by itself is quite a complicated field. Again, if you've been in the dentist chairs, you hoped and prayed that the doctor knows what he's doing. So there are some, doctors, whether it's in the Western world or wherever, who are called key opinion leaders who pretty much defined how procedures should be conducted. There are clinical trials we do with our products which ensure a certain efficacy is there. So it's important for us to explain to the doctors how that product works, what is going to happen when they administer a certain product to the consumer. Now, when you think of a medical or a pharma rep going to the doctor, that probably seems like the most mundane conversation you can possibly have. But there, as the infrastructure builds up, as internet speed, you're saying, improves, and we can use AR in a more economical way better. I mean, just imagine the power of a rep going into a doctor's clinic, being able to use, let's say, something like a hologram to have a key opinion leader talk about a certain product, our own ability to demonstrate the results and outcomes of a clinical trial. It just completely transforms the way you can communicate, the information you can share, and the experience you are giving to the doctor as well, and his ability to assimilate what he's hearing. So enormous, enormous power still there in terms of what the tech can do and what it can enable on brand, just from a marketing and communication perspective.
Any use cases you're working on right now?
Are you pitching
Feel free.
right now? Are you pitching right now?
All right, super. So let me just ask Himanshu to round up our conversation with a very interesting, I would say it's very, very important for us to understand this entire aspects of ethics in AI, right? It's a critical thing as AI platforms are rapidly growing. This question is going to come sooner or later. Already, a lot of advertisers are already talking about it, that regulations which needs to be followed. How rapidly these characters are getting created, and we were discussing a use case also where a celebrity was not even aware that his character was being created and was being used to drive commerce transactions, right? So things can go rapidly wrong. So what kind of regulation should we work on as an industry?
Right. So about that celebrity, so anyone who has ever done a podcast, basically there's enough information on you to make you say anything that the user wants. So the implications are massive. You can make a politician say anything that you want because they give so many speeches. So we strongly believe, like even when you go to Kaira's profile, the first thing that it mentions is that it's a meta influencer. It's not a real person. We give that disclosure. But what if some company comes and they do not give that disclosure and they're fooling people, they're making people purchase something. And this is already happening. There is definitely a need of regulation. We believe the platform have a major part to play, whether it's Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. They need to be a part of this regulatory body. We as developers of these technologies need to be a part. Brands will have a major role to play because they are the ones that will be using this technology. So a neutral body, there is an urgent need because AI has picked up faster than we could have imagined. We thought this would be 5 years, 10 years down the line, but it is already here. So, but I am in general a positive person. I think the technology has more positive sides than negative sides, but we need to address these issues immediately.
You want to add to it, Bhawna?
No, nothing really. I mean, it is important. Again, for those of us who are custodians on bigger brands, I think it's always enormous responsibility that we carry to make sure that we are communicating in an environment which is brand safe, and that we are also ethical about whatever information we might be taking in return from the consumer stroke patient. So yeah, no, absolutely very important, and which is why both to my left and right are people who are far more savvy. I think the reason we in the industry run slightly slow is because that caution and that abundance of caution needs to be there, just because of how many lives we manage to touch. Like Eno alone, for context, we sell about 1 billion sachets every year. So those are the number of people you are reaching out. So you have to be uber careful in terms of where you are and how you're interacting, and is that environment safe?
Absolutely. So, can you guys hear me? Yes. Let's just take questions now. Maybe spend another 2-3 minutes taking questions. If this subject was new, does it ring a bell? We can use it in some fashion. Yeah, we have one question. And we have full house now. I'm looking at the camera and saying it's full house.
Hello. Yeah. Hi, my name is Dia. And I just want to ask, what's the credibility of a meta influencer? Because I personally will associate my emotions more with a real human than a digital influencer. So how do you think meta is going to tackle all that?
Right. So we have been asked this question many times. Like, it's, I think, a human thing that people start associating with fictional character. So there are some people who would associate more with Harry Potter or Spider-Man than their real life friends. So we are trying to do something similar, where we are creating this character full of personality that people could actually relate to it. And we have seen it succeed. So every day we get hundreds of messages asking Kyra, hey, what are you doing? Asking about her life. They are commenting on Kyra's post. And Kyra has also started to interact with these people. So I think it's on the part of the storytellers, how convincing can they make the character feel real. And we have already seen that people are responding to it.
Just to add to it, India has got inherent love for machines. Look at Alexa. It just came into our lives, and one of the data points from Amazon report said there are 1 million people who want to marry Alexa. And there are millions of commands every day saying, Alexa, I love you. That's love for the machine, right? Alexa today sits in a small school in Nagpur inside a mannequin and is teaching kids, where kids every day are excited to go to school because there's Alexa out there teaching them. So there's this inherent love for machine. And when it comes to adoption, Indians are the first in terms of quickly adopting and falling in love with experimenting and adopting with these platforms. So I'm not worried at all.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Just a follow-up to that.
Yes, please.
But
You're my star guest. Please.
But I just feel that if I talk to a normal, real influencer, I can, openly talk about my feelings. I won't trust a digital influencer in that area. So, how do you think?
I would say don't trust a regular influencer also. Maybe you're giving them too much credit. Some influencers are good, but some are...
At the end of the day, everyone's seeking followers. They want their numbers to go up. They're not seeking family there.
I wouldn't say go to influencer to talk about feelings. Probably go to someone better. I wouldn't want a meta influencer right now. The technology is not there yet to advise people on feelings or personal care. Probably we need to work more on that before they are ready. So right now they are not ready. Maybe they are good for promoting products or telling stories, but not helping people out as of now.
It's going to be a paradise for creative folks and creative brands in times to come, right? It's about how creatively you can move in to their space and jointly create a collaborative story. If you want Kyra's life to go in a certain direction so that Sensodyne can come and play a role, he can build that plot for you. And there are millions of people who are following her, right? So that will work in brand's favor.
Thank you.
And again, look at the kind of visibility you would have. You can have Kyra for 100 years. And then Kyra's babies. And blah, blah, blah. So
like the biggest IPs that we know, Batman, Superman, Barbie, they have all been there for hundreds of years. So a celebrity, even now the question is whether the celebrities could also outlive their life and be there for hundreds of years.
I was just reading this interesting report and we were having that conversation on Harry Potter, right? Harry Potter till date, by selling books, must have made about 100 crores. By making movies, maybe 1,000 crores. By selling games, 12,000 crores in 5 days. And I can see a big nod from 3 of you, right? So you must have read the same report, what I read. Isn't that amazing? How this entire... And I, as a parent, I would pay a 5,000 rupees subscription for a Harry Potter versus any other game, like PUBG. Why am I quoting PUBG in wrong light? But yeah, there's a lot of violence out there. And I would not mind spending as a parent on a game like Harry Potter, where my son goes and transforms into Harry Potter and learns all these magic tricks and skills. Right? So
you can kill people in the Harry Potter game also. Just
yeah, but without bloodshed, or
there's a spell to kill people.
Yeah, spell to kill people. Cool then. Any other questions, guys? Hope this was... Yeah, please.
My name is Mohit. So This session by far has been most interesting.
Let's clap for this.
Just before this session, I was about to go home.
That's what I
But
keep
good that
telling
I stayed.
IAMAI that I'm a showstopper. Put me first.
Yeah.
I was going to do it at
Somebody should
11:30
take
in
note
the
of that.
morning on the big stage, but Coca-Cola Perfetti,
I could
a
have
couple of
gone
my
home.
clients, they couldn't make it. So, yeah, but I'm happy with if it was useful for you guys.
So I am father of 2 teenagers, and
Okay.
I now get many beliefs unblocked with your presentation.
Wow,
What
thank
they
you so
can
much.
do, and my elder one is in Michigan, University of Michigan.
Okay.
So I think she is going to learn a lot from you guys. My another question was, how difficult or easy as of now it is to create such clones in terms of effort and money. You said it can be done in
10
with
minutes.
the 10 minutes of
Maybe 5 minutes now.
Yeah, and how about the
Not
general
that
cost?
expensive.
Yeah,
No,
not that
not that
expensive.
expensive.
Because, for example, I see people talking to virtual spirits now. For example, I would like my dad to talk to my grandparents,
Yeah.
whose clone it can be done if this is so easy and somebody else can do for me.
Yeah.
So this kind of applications I see, I mean, a lot.
Yeah,
you know.
there are certain prototypes they're working on which is like image transcoding. So I don't even need the video footage of the character,
Okay.
but like maybe a passport photo. I'll click the photo and the photo will start talking. I can add language models. I can add maybe a advanced AI tool Intel to make that photograph talk.
19 crimes.
Huh?
19 crimes you're talking about.
Yeah, so many use cases. For example, if I get your clone, your picture, I click on it, and your picture starts talking, and then I want you to talk political science, for example.
But how do you bring that voice back? Because we do not have recordings of
No,
those
we need to clone your voice.
Clone
so you
voice,
need to
right?
put a
Yeah.
sample up there on the internet. It's a panel where you go click your picture with the basic picture. You can also upload a picture. It suits the bill. And then you need to put a voice sample so I can clone it. Or in the same platform, you can also create a digital avatar on the fly through text. You can say, I want a tall guy, fair guy with beard, long hair. It creates a character for you. Now that becomes your character and you can roll it to drive conversations.
This brings
externally.
whole concepts of Star Trek alive.
Yeah, so
Teleporting
many,
and all.
like I said, ethics in AI is something which has to be, we were also looking at a use case where we were looking at getting all the freedom fighters back. You know, so many use cases can evolve with this, but you got to be very, very clear
Very,
in
very
terms
cautious
of,
with.
yeah, the legality. Like when we did our first clone, we spent, our legal team spent about 6 months along with the PR team, the partner teams, the investors. It's a hard locked contract. They cannot go wrong. They cannot misuse the content beyond the campaign for which they have signed up for. There's a lot of process involved. So it's multiple teams need to collaborate to pull it off.
But as the last panel said, a technology starts with experimentation and then the legalities can kick in anytime. So this is the
Depends what are they talking about. If they're talking about creating a virtual world experience on the metaverse, which doesn't involve any IP infringement, then it's good to go. Like we did some 12 experimentations last year. The first wedding on the metaverse was an experiment which I did. We got Coca-Cola, ITC and others to sponsor it. Right? We did Holi in the metaverse. We got Tata Tea to sponsor it. We did a kids award show for Perfetti in Decentraland. We did InnoLand, Volvoverse, and so many experimentation. Wasn't much of a legal hassle there, but moment you get into crypto, NFT, wallets, AI, playing with IPs, you need legal perspective there.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you
Very
so much.
interesting.
Thank you. I have a session now. Can you WhatsApp me a question? Or would this be the last question then? Yes, please.
Yeah, my question is, now that metaverse is becoming a separate parallel dimension altogether, I also read news where sexual harassment and a lot of crimes are also coming up in this segment. What is the way to draw a line there? How do you regulate that? Because now that it's a separate world altogether, there's also requirement of law, and how will you enforce that?
I'll just give you a quick one. When this avatar abuse happened in London, I was planning this entire wedding, the metaverse wedding concept in India. And obviously I spoke to our leadership in London, and they sent us a circular saying that you got to follow these instructions, disable audio for participants who are coming in for the wedding, ensure there's proximity, so no one can go closer to avatars. That's when you will hit, na? When people go and they try and see, isko thoda hit karte hain. So we had proximity, proper proximity there. And only people who are allowed to talk would be allowed to talk, like a typical Zoom call, how you control it as a moderator. So we did all of that, the quick checks, learning from the West and making all the changes in the Indian market. More
Right.
from Himanshu.
So even like people harassment against female influencers is quite common on the internet, unfortunately, especially in India. And even a virtual character, people leave harassing comments, although it might be 5 or 10% of the conversation, but those are the ones that affect these people the most, and they haven't even left a virtual person. So I think it needs a combined effort of the platform first, the examples that Niraj mentioned. For example, Instagram has done some good efforts in minimizing the harassment. So whatever platform the metaverse is being hosted on, they need to have those checks and balances in place. Of course, we need to teach these people, and I don't know if it's ever going to work 100%, because even now people are harassing, but we do need to put our effort there. The brands will also have a role to play. So everyone will need to contribute, and it's a major issue. So even for Kyra, like if she stands for a cause, this is one of the causes that we stand for, that she wants to put a platform to the abuse that's happening on the platform and how we can tackle it.
I mean, it's like beginning of an era, so clearly we need to work towards metaverse for good framework. Industry needs to work towards it. So no right or wrong answer right now. But yeah, we learn and we make changes onto our platforms or the experiences which we are building for our advertisers. Yeah, thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much for your time. Yeah, please.